The battle between Ash and Leon rages on. Let's jump into it. Hey, what's going on everyone? Entering Infinity here. Today I'm back with a brand new video to discuss episode 130 of the Pokemon Journeys anime, where the battle between Ash and Leon continues its second episode. So there was so much action in this episode and so much to talk about, I want to just jump right into it because otherwise this video is going to be like an hour long. So the last episode ends where Mr. Rhyme finishes off Ash's Gengar, and now Ash has to figure out how he's going to deal with this Mr. Rhyme. And I'm just getting like, the Spiritomb vibes all over again, where this Pokemon is just so tricky and Ash has to figure out how to handle it because a lot of his Pokemon are actually weak into Mr. Rhyme, so it's not really an easy matchup for him. But Ash decides to send out Sirfetch'd, and Sirfetch'd, as always giving it 110%. Everyone was a little bit surprised because Sirfetch'd is a fighting type. It has a weakness to Mr. Rhyme's psychic type, so it really was a risky move by Ash to send out the Sirfetch'd. But the battle gets started and they kind of go back and forth, a lot of good action. I'm surprised Leon chose to kind of go head in against Ash's Sirfetch'd when it's kind of better off kind of being a ranged special attacker, but they kind of clash and Mr. Rhyme's using his little walking stick as a sword and they're kind of clashing and going at it, and Mr. Rhyme is just utilizing the ice in the field so well, ice skating around like this evil ice skating clown and just being an absolute menace to Ash. But Sirfetch'd holds his own, puts in a lot of work. He ends up attacking the field and I think it ends up destroying the psychic terrain and cracks some of the ice a bit, and then Ash decides to recall it back to the Pokeball, and then he decides to send out Lucario, and then he doesn't waste any time and goes ahead and Mega Evolves his Lucario. But despite being Mega Lucario, it was still running into the same issues as Ash's other Pokemon, where it just couldn't really hit this Mr. Rhyme that's just ice skating around all over the place and just being an absolute menace, and it's just missing its attacks, and Mr. Rhyme is just laying on the pressure, hitting it with triple axles and dealing it a lot of damage. So Ash has it focused using its aura, and he charges up an aura sphere and manages to locate it and snipe it down with the aura sphere, which was really cool to see. And Mega Lucario ends up picking up the knockout finally on this Mr. Rhyme. So then Leon goes ahead and sends out his Dragapult, which was really cool to see, and Mega Lucario took a surprising amount of damage and is actually pretty tired at this point. And Leon once again shows how well ranged his Pokemon are in terms of their diverse move pools, and he goes ahead and has his Dragapult use Flamethrower and starts torching Mega Lucario, which is big, super effective damage. So Ash goes ahead and recalls his Mega Lucario while it's in the middle of getting torched by the Flamethrower, and then he goes out and he sends out his Dracovish, and he figures it's a pretty decent matchup because it's dragon versus dragon. He's got ice moves on it, so it's not a terrible move. So he has the Dracovish rush in with the Dragon Rush, and then we get to see Leon use Dragon Darts, which is really cool to see in the anime. And Dracovish takes a good amount of damage from the Dragon Darts because it was something that Ash wasn't really expecting, so I don't think he has a lot of experience dealing with Dragapults. And then all of a sudden we see Dracovish screaming. Well, it looked like it was in pain, about to go through some kind of metamorphosis or something, and I was like, what is happening right now? And we see these glowing red spikes start coming out of its stomach, and it turns out that Dracovish learned Psychic Fangs in the middle of the episode, which is pretty cool to see. So then Dragapult rushes in, and then Dracovish uses its new Psychic Fangs in its stomach to pretty much grab the Dragapult like it's a Venus flytrap, and it was holding it on its stomach point blank. And then he rips a point blank Vicious Rend in its face and then Ice Fang in its face, and I was like, wow, how is it surviving that? Those point blank massive attacks, pretty crazy to see. And then Leon has Dragapult use Dragon Tail, so we see this giant green tail expand, and then he smacks it out of the field. So when a Pokemon uses Dragon Tail, it forces a Pokemon to switch out, so it allows it to escape the vice grip that it was in, and it sends Dracovish back into its Pokeball, and then it forces out Ash's Dragonite onto the field, and Dragonite was so confused why it got sent out, which was pretty funny. So I'm like, alright, so anyone who's watched my videos knows I'm a huge Dragonite fan, and I feel like it's been really disrespected recently. I'm like, it better not get disrespected again. And this is a matchup I was totally down to see. We got the most recent pseudo-legendary dragon versus the OG Gen 1 pseudo-legendary dragon, so I'm all about that. I was so hyped when that part came on. So Ash goes ahead and has his Dragonite use Dragon Dance, so he starts flying up in the air and spinning, and then Leon's using Dragon shooting darts, and the darts are like deflecting off of Dragonite, and Dragonite's trying to deal with them, and then he has him go in for a Dragon Claw, but then unfortunately Dragapult just uses Dragon Tail again, and then Dragonite just gets smacked out of the field. So I was like, oh, come on, like, please don't do him dirty like this. I was like getting pretty annoyed. And then Mega Lucario gets switched back out, and it was like surprised again why it was on the field. So again, Mega Lucario had sustained a lot of damage in the previous battle with Mr. Rhyme, so the two of them start going off, and then Dragapult ends up hitting the Mega Lucario with a Thunderbolt and ends up paralyzing it so that it couldn't move, and then it ends up finishing it off with a Flamethrower. So that was like a pretty shocking twist of the episode, was that Ash's Mega Lucario is off the board, his second knocked out Pokemon, and you know, what was previously his ace that carried him through the battle with Cynthia to victory is now off the board, and it didn't really get a ton of value out of it because it really only finished off the Mr. Rhyme. So it's a pretty disappointing showing for Mega Lucario, and that just makes this battle so much more uphill for Ash, that he just lost potentially his strongest Pokemon here. So it's going to be really interesting going forward. But yeah, Mega Lucario is officially off the board and KO'd in this episode by Dragapult. So then Ash sends out Dragonite again, so I'm like, alright, give us a proper battle this time. Like, you better not disrespect my Dragonite. And so the battle ensues, and you know, he has Dragonite use Hurricane. It's like blasting this crazy amount of wind, blowing around everyone in the stadium, which is pretty funny. Like, so much for that barrier supposed to be protecting the people in the stands, because like everyone was getting blown around multiple times in this episode. And then Dragapult uses Thunderbolt, which I was annoyed to see that it kind of broke through the Hurricane eventually and hit Dragonite. So then finally Ash has Dragonite use Draco Meteor, and I was like, when are we going to finally pay off that new move that he learned when he was training with Paul with the Dragonite and the special Draco Meteor attack? Like, I've been waiting for that to happen since that episode. So finally we get to see it happen, and he uses his the special Draco Meteor attack, and he flies in and he grabs Dragapult, which was awesome, and he starts like spinning, and it's pretty much like a seismic toss Draco Meteor where he goes and smashes him into the ground and like explodes with the Draco Meteor. It was awesome. At that point I was just praying that it wasn't a double knockout, because I didn't want Dragonite to get taken out like that. I wanted the Dragonite to actually knock out a Pokemon and continue fighting and show the beast that it's been this whole series and kind of be able to continue on, and I was happy to see that. So the Dragapult gets knocked out. OG Gen 1 Dragonite gets the victory over the Dragapult. I was so hyped to see that. Finally, Dragonite gets the respect it deserves, and then Leon goes ahead and sends out his Rillaboom, and that's kind of where the episode leaves off. Overall, I thought this episode was really good. I couldn't believe how much action there was. There really wasn't a lot of dialogue or kind of wasting time, you know, showing other things that were going on. It was just so focused, and it was so like one after another, like with the battling. So I really enjoyed that, and it actually made the episode feel like longer than it normally does. So that was really good to see. On paper, you know, Ash looks like he's winning because he has 4 Pokemon left to Leon's 3 Pokemon. But if you really look at it, you know, all 4 of Ash's Pokemon have battled so far and have taken a lot of damage in battle. And Leon has 3 fully fresh Pokemon, including his Charizard, which is the most broken Pokemon ever. And he still has his Dynamax available, and Ash only has his Z-move left. So this is going to be really interesting to see how Ash kind of pulls this off, because as of right now, I would say this is completely in Leon's favor at the moment. I'm assuming Ash is going to save the Z-move for Leon's Charizard, so that'll be nice to see. I'd like to see Pikachu take out the Charizard with the Z-move, but his Rillaboom is an absolute unit, as we've seen, so that's going to be difficult to take out. The Cinderace is extremely tricky with the Libero ability, being able to change types, so this battle is going to be really crazy. And given that there's 7 Pokemon left, I feel like that will be a lot to just squeeze into one episode, so to have 6 Pokemon knocked down in a single episode next week would be a lot. So I feel like this should really be like a 4-part battle, and I'm really hoping that it will extend into a 4th episode. But yeah, overall it was a really good episode. I had a really great time. Again, super action-packed, very intense, you know, lots of fun to watch. So really looking forward to next week's episode and hoping that we, like I said, get a 4th episode as well. So if you stayed till the end, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought of the episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.